welcome AJ Donaldson from the Epic Foundation slash entrepreneur, multiple ventures, amazing entrepreneur, amazing man. Thank you for coming on today to Entrepreneurial Truth.
It's an honor. It's a pleasure. I'm looking forward to this. We've been talking about this, so I'm so proud of you for stepping out boldly and creating this platform and podcast for you and all the entrepreneurs like myself who you help represent and help us grow our business. So thank you for this.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you so much for that. All right. I want to do this. I want to start from the beginning because you are such a big figure in the entrepreneurial space, but also the nonprofit space, right? But I want us to start at the beginning. You know, where did this start from? Like, tell us a little bit more.
Wow, great question. Because when you say start from the beginning, it's like I was born in 19. No, we're not going that far back. But if we talk about the immediate past, as we represent the Epic Foundation as one of the endeavors, that was sparked based on need, right, in our community, right, and that's at the core and crux of it all is what has been driving me through all of my entrepreneurial experiences, starting with myself, because there was great need in my life, single family home, the University of Miami, debauchery that was in the dynamics of saying, hey, I did everything the school system tell me to do. I got the grades. I got the high SAT score, 4.0, 1400 SAT, the full scholarship, yet I was still stuck with 60 grand worth of debt. And it didn't make sense to me. I was angry. And so stepping into the community, I couldn't help but want to almost rescue kids from going through the same thing I went through, because school's not enough. Hashtag, literally, our hashtag is school is not enough. One of the hashtags, because there's more. Like there's your education doesn't start at school. I know your children did not start getting their education at school. They didn't utter their first words at school. So, having to change mindsets around being codependent on the school system, like I technically was, is exactly how this whole thing started. But then how do you serve? Providing a service, then it's like, well, how do you get paid for this service? Because, your time is invaluable. Yeah, right. We set a dollar amount for our time all the time. If it's, when we're aging ourselves. But when minimum wage was like $5.15 an hour, right, and you're sitting in that work study at the University of Miami or whatever university or college you're at, they were putting a dollar amount on your time, on your life, literally $5.15. And so from that, that day forward, it was like, well, how do I get paid for this? And my original company, Donaldson Scholar Mentors, DSM, was born from that whole history. And found out later on that DSM was actually a medical journal. So I said, I don't know if that's brandable, if I'm going to get rid of that. And so we revamped in 2012 after a lot of growth, into United Mentors. And then from United Mentors, it turned into we added on a layer of nonprofit work called the Epic Foundation to serve those who could not afford tutoring, mentoring, and other search services.
Wow. And now that you've pretty much come full circle, because right, you are now helping to serve the people that you wanted to have served.
Right.
Essentially yourself.
Right. Yeah. So absolutely.
You've come full circle. What has that journey showed you?
So first and foremost, I appreciate that. So coming full circle, basically yourself, that's spot on, right? That is really, really high level, because that's exactly right. Like, my mom, I'm sure you can understand this as well, coming from Jamaica, she would never have allowed us to be considered underprivileged. Right. She worked multiple jobs. She provided, it wasn't, you couldn't go to the store and just ask for anything, but it was like dynamics, like it wasn't considered underprivileged. So that's something we've had to tweak, considered underserved. And by way of the evolving societal, educational, all these things that happen, we're all underserved. There's gaps everywhere, like everywhere. So being able to serve the underserved is exactly the category that I would have been in. So that in of itself, right there, that's an education. That was like, wait, the way our programming is and whatever information I had at the time, well, a nonprofit organization, low income, impoverished, disadvantaged, like those are the type of terms get thrown at you. And then you find out that the NFL is technically a nonprofit structure. And it's like,
oh, wait, hold on, stop.
yeah.
Stick a pin.
Yeah.
For our listeners, can you just elaborate? Because I know when I first heard this, I was like, what?
Yeah. So absolutely. And so the NFL being a non-profit structure. So, and you can qualify this, you can literally Google NFL nonprofit and it'll show you the NFL as a 501c6. So for those of you who have any experience with nonprofit charity work, you typically hear 501c3, right? So a 501c3, and by the way, there are, hundreds of, think about tax law and the stuff we just don't know. We don't know. There's one thing that became very present recently. It's like the two things that are guaranteed in life. You hear this all the time. The two things that are guaranteed in life is death and taxes, right? Yeah, there's not a class at school on taxes unless you're actually trying to become an accountant.
Right.
So it's like, I need to know this because it doesn't matter if I work for somebody and I'm W-2, W-9, I got to deal with a W-4. It doesn't matter. Like, I have to know some baseline level of taxes. By the way, my son who's working now, 21 years old, there's a thing called taxes, right? You've heard the word, but yet you've never earned money and then seen your check short, right? Everybody knows that experience, right? It's like, wait, I was supposed to make $200. Why did I get $147.12? You know what I'm saying? So that whole dynamic. So elaborating on the NFL specifically, it is actually, or was, because they lost it, a 501c6. So the difference between a 501c3 and a 501c6, a 501c3, if you get audited, the IRS wants to see that the majority of your money, the resources, everything, the capital is going towards benefiting the community.
Right.
If it's not benefiting the community, you could lose. You're not a 501c3. You'd lose your tax exemption that everybody wants to be able to get their tax write-off on their taxes. A 501c6 specifically is to benefit its members. Yeah. So think about this. When we hear the NFL, there's a blur that happens because you have, the Dolphins. Obviously we're Floridians. We're down here in Miami. We love the Dolphins. I'm a Hurricane. Obviously, you see my jersey there. Played at the University of Miami, so I'm a big Ravens fan too. Because Ravens were like the second Miami Hurricane. Everybody went to the Ravens. But you're hearing the teams. These are individual teams.
Right.
The teams are for-profit businesses. The teams, they have their stadiums. They have their merchandise, their advertisement. They make money off of that. The ticket sales.
Right.
Concessions, like all that is money-making stuff. The NFL is the shield, the umbrella that houses all of these teams, right? Ooh. Yeah. So like you have your European League, you have your CFL, the Canadian League, right? What would it look like if the Dolphins played in the European League or the Canadian League? They wouldn't be the Miami Dolphins. They wouldn't be the
right.
It's the NFL shield that houses all of it. So the only real difference, and this is the big caveat, the only real difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit is ownership.
Right.
Period. Everything else is tax law, exemptions. That's all these other minutia underneath it. At the very top level, nonprofit, for-profit. If it's a for-profit, that means we have equity, right? We have distribution, right? United Mentors has equity. Link by Design has equity. If we want to have equity partners, if we want to leverage that all day. At the end of the year, taxes happen. We get a distribution, right? What's left over. Of course, we hear the goal of the wealthy is to show no income. That all falls under that tax stuff. But as a nonprofit, there's no K-1 distribution. There's no profits, right?
Right.
But nonprofit does not mean non-revenue.
And I think that is where a lot of people get tripped up. They hear nonprofit, they mean no revenue,
right?
Zero revenue. But again, this is the whole entrepreneurial journey,
Yes,
because we, as you said earlier, and what I keep saying on this podcast is, you don't know what you don't know,
correct.
right?
Yep,
And everything that you just shed light to, I know people don't know,
right. Because you didn't
right?
know, right? We were talking. You knew some,
Yeah.
right? You were educated on some, but it wasn't until I stepped in with my level of expertise and consult to say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
let me add a couple layers of information, education
Mm-hmm.
onto the information that you are aware of or what has been made aware of, but it's a lot of it's deleted, somewhat distorted because it's not your
Mm-hmm.
necessary lane, right? And there's a lot of dilution where the information isn't necessarily, like you said, you don't know. So
Right.
it's like watered
Right.
down.
So let me ask you, where did you, or who helped you along the way? Like, how did you get from where you were to where you are?
Wow, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, this is, full circle story again, right? Because growing up in a single family home, I had a single mom. So, it was the community that really stepped in to support me. Because imagine if my mom is now working multiple jobs to make sure we're not considered unprivileged.
Right.
Time, there's limited time, 24 hours a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know she wasn't sleeping for 8 of them. So the amount of work she was doing, she didn't have enough time to also be there at every single stage. Like she wasn't going to be my football coach, right?
Right.
So it took mentors, right? Other
Mm-hmm.
people in my village, in the community who stepped in, pastors, workers in the community, all these different people, which from Jamaica. So it's like there's always this village around you, right? The shopkeeper knows your mom and knows, hey, if you get away with stuff, you're going to tell your mom. So it
Mm-hmm.
was a whole village, a whole community that helped raise me, literally. So as you now mature and we grow up, there's information. So the only way to procure some of this information, and again, the educational setting, the school setting, is a depiction of it, but it's not the full scope. So
Mm-hmm.
other experts consulted, right? I either consulted with or was mentored by to gain
Mm-hmm.
this information, like a lawyer, right? Marlon
Right.
Bryan Esquire, big shout out to my big brother, chairman of our board right now. That man is brilliant in business litigation.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. That's his lane. He's an expert.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, brother, I have this vision, and he's like, well, you're gonna need to get a 501c3. I don't know how to do that. How do I do that? Right? So Marlon steps in. He joined forces with the Epic Foundation and Brian Law. He stepped up. We ended up recruiting an accountant, and the two of them, with me just sitting on the phone, listening to them and gaining that information, they
Mm-hmm.
went back and forth talking about what do you need? What do you need? What is this? Got that information up to the IRS. And let me tell you something, and I have to share this. Typically, 501c3 tax exemptions take months to procure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about
Mm-hmm.
minimum, I've heard 4 to 6 months. Minimum, right? I've heard horror stories where it's like 9, 12 months, over a year. I'm still waiting, da da da. I got a letter because of experts, because seeking the right consult
Oh.
in
Oh.
2 weeks.
Repeat that.
In seeking the right consult and mentoring, I
Okay.
got the letter in 2 weeks. It was like quote unquote record time to the point where when I got the letter and I called Marlon, I was like, hey, is this them just letting us know that they received the application? He flipped. He's like, what? Like that's it. You got it already?
But that goes to show you right there, right? Seeking the right people to help you to get from point A to point B is imperative.
Critical.
And that's a great segue into what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Explain a little bit about where you are and where you're going.
Great question. I appreciate that because to your point, seeking the right mentorship, seeking the right consult, the right coaching, right,
Mm-hmm.
it's critical. Why? Keyword: time.
Right.
Okay, time is of the essence.
Mm-hmm.
Time is on no person's side,
Mm-hmm.
right? We've got limited time on this earth. That is the most present thing to me in the season of my life, and you know this because of
Right.
losing my mom, right? And we've all experienced loss in some way, shape, or form, right? If it is
Mm-hmm.
a nephew, if it is
Mm-hmm.
a cousin, a godson, a
Mm-hmm.
mother, a father, whoever, whatever, grandparent, even, right? We
Mhm.
all understand that this life is fickle.
Right.
Tomorrow's not promised. So if you have a vision, if you have a purpose, a mission that you're on, you want to go on this journey. I want to become an entrepreneur. I want to run this business. I want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Time is not on your side. TikTok. As soon as you start to incorporate, do all these TikTok. And
Right.
a big thing behind money, and this is great. I appreciate this opportunity to say this. We live in America. We're not running back to Jamaica. We may go back and forth and visit. We live in this country. A lot of us aren't looking to move back to where we're from. Cuba,
Mm-hmm.
Africa, even New York. Like, just
Mm-hmm.
talking about Florida, but America in general is a capitalist society.
Mm-hmm.
Capitalism, right? They're not trying to fool anybody, right? They talk about the national debt. They talk about the great GDP. Like, this is just what we live.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we do. So at the end of the day, when I say time's not on your side, that is also connected to your money.
Right.
So
Right.
if I'm now going to take 9 months to get that tax exemption,
Mm-hmm.
my money may run out along the
Mm-hmm.
way. It took too long, and now my vision dies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Long, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if I can get it done in 2 weeks, in a
Mm-hmm.
month, there's more value.
Right.
There's more
Right.
value. And guess what? If there's more value, you got to pay,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there needs to be a value exchange. Because we
Mm-hmm.
also understand the value of saving you that time. So that speaks towards where I'm at now, because I have a huge heart for the community. I've given away a lot of free stuff, right?
Yeah.
We help
Yep.
a lot of people pro bono, and it's like, but over time, our money started to be
Of
affected,
course. Of course.
right? Because we're not in those we're helping them out, and they're making money, but it's like, wait, hi over here, what about me? So,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not to say in a selfish manner, but it's the dynamics of value exchange, and
Right.
times not on our side. So yeah, I want to help you, would love to step in and support you. Now let's talk about my consult, let's talk about my coaching, let's talk about how we can work ourselves into this deal together,
Mm-hmm.
because we're
Mm-hmm.
stronger together. We can get it done faster together if we share.
Ah. Uh-huh.
So that's what I'm stepping into now. So we've gone from, entrepreneur, busy owner,
Mm-hmm.
right, as most of us are.
And what tools have you used to help with that? Alleviate some of that busyness. What
Well,
are you can you share anything that you implement
yes. No,
to
and
make
that's
you
a
less
great
busy?
question. So like going from a busy owner to now wanting to truly become a business owner, you have
Mm-hmm.
to streamline the processes, because a lot of it is codependent on you as the individual, right? To
Uh-huh.
the point. So that's where, of course, we live in 2023. It's about to be 2024, right? The 2019, whatever, 23rd century, whatever we're in at this point. So the dynamics of that is integrating technology,
Mm-hmm.
right? So first and foremost, right, we've got this technology all day long, our cell phones. So that has been my greatest asset for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
because making those phone calls, sending those text messages, even sending those emails,
Right.
keeping up with my calendar, those
Mm-hmm.
things have been a good
Mm-hmm.
asset. But even then,
Mm-hmm.
right, I'm following you, I'm tracking. So even then, it's not enough, because as you start to grow, this becomes obsolete. It's too much.
Right.
Now everybody's blowing you up. You're having to put your phone on do not disturb just so you can get some some peace and to eat,
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature. So
Mm-hmm.
we all want more.
Right.
We all want more, right? That's the American dream, right? Feed me more. But in order to facilitate and handle that more, you have to integrate a team
Mm-hmm.
and technology. T and
Mm-hmm.
T. I just
Mm-hmm.
came up with that right now.
Yep. Love that. A
A
team
team.
and technology. Yep. You have to.
Yep. And dude, it's funny because that's the dynamite between the two of us, right? You got the technology, AI,
Mm-hmm.
that part. I come in as a team of unique skill with a wealth, just like you, with a wealth, a portfolio of contacts and
Mm-hmm.
experts. It's
Mm-hmm.
dynamic, right? It's very
Mm-hmm.
dynamic.
Mm-hmm. So that team is now leading you into the next section of where you want to be. And what
Yes.
I'm hearing you say is this whole journey has led you to a point where you're now in the position to be able to coach and help people along their journey to get from point A to point B faster
Yes.
with the right team, because you two are bringing along that team to
Yes.
help them.
Absolutely. Yes. Well said. Very, very much so. Spot on. We need teammates. We need skills. We have teammates, and we know how to save time because we've been through the pain of spending a lot of those times and resources to get us to this point. So who better to coach you than the person who's already been through all the pain for you?
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth? He who feels it knows it. So
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
right.
So I mean, right now the consultancy, the consult is very, very present. And let's say this, and I know you can agree with this. If the business owner or the business itself has the capital to afford the consult, then it can be paid for upfront,
Right.
right? Invest, let's move on. But that's not the only way to exchange value. Okay. That,
Okay.
that that liquid cash is cool. We need it. We love it. We want it. And there will be clients who need to do that based on what they're projecting to do in their business model, right?
Right.
Others, the majority of us, right, who don't have that upfront $10,000 or whatever the capital investment is initially, what do? We don't want to leave you behind because we do have a heart for the community. We want to see your business thrive and grow. But there's other very unique ways of being able to afford it. Now, we're not talking about debt per se. There is a such thing as good debt, and my mom taught me don't do debt far away. Even though that whole University of Miami situation happened, I understand the pain that comes with debt. But in the business model, business world, there is such thing as good debt. But that's not even what we're talking about. That's another potential payment method. That's how our default is. If I don't have the cash, I swipe card, credit. Okay, there's another way, right? There's equity, like we just said, the difference between a for-profit and a nonprofit. If you may not be able to afford the full price, you may be able to afford this much, and then you leverage the rest of it in equity in your business. And I said that on purpose because, and Cassie, I know you know this, in the research of looking at the most successful businesses, majority of them do not own 100% of anything. Nothing. Like, they leverage equity in their business for generations. They've been building wealth off of equity. Facebook was that. Like all these Pepsi, all these huge conglomerate, global, huge multi-billion-dollar organizations, large US businesses have been leveraging equity, shares, and all that in their business from day one. Right? So you have a business partner who's also motivated to grow your business because if you need their 10% to be $100,000, you got to make $1 million.
Absolutely. 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 And it's the shared success of everyone.
Yes.
Yep.
So that's where we are. We're consulting, we're coaching, kind of a synonym, if you will. And in doing so, we get paid for it, or we broker deals towards equity.
I love that. I love that. And are there any success stories that you want to share?
Oh my Lord, yes, absolutely. And I know you understand this one in particular where, in the beta of it all, right? In the journey and discovery of this unique skill and identity, we've been helping people along the way, right? And not realizing the value we were really bringing until we saw how much it turned into, like, and I say how much, meaning monetarily, cash, money. There was a particular colleague of ours who works with Epic, and I, love this man dearly. Everything he has done for the Epic Foundation, and notice I said for the Epic Foundation, not AJ per se, but for the foundation, for the community through Epic. It's been an incredible contribution. He's written checks, right? He's lent expertise, and through the journey, we've gotten close. Like this is like another big brother of mine, like Marlon. And as this is happening organically, I can't help but want to deliver more value than I take. Because he's written check again to Epic, right? I'm like, oh, there's a part of like, oh man, thank you. What can I do for you in return? ROI. And so then as we got to know each other's business models and him getting involved with Epic, me learning more about his business, we started doing all types of stuff under his company. Now initially it was, let's create jobs for the students, career pathways. That's a part of our mission. Scholarships, mentorship, career pathways, cradle to career. That's the goal. That's what school's supposed to be doing. A lot of us are programmed to believe it is. It's not until the rude awakening happens. So it takes a village. We've got to step in. That's what Epic does, right? United Mentors does the tutoring, all this stuff. Along the way, it's like, wait, he's now growing his actual business, right? And I mean, this is one of the top organizations in the US, minority owned, whole thing. Really cool. And find out he needs to do some acquisitions and mergers to grow into other states as a national organization. Well, I happen to have some colleagues who do incredibly well in an M&A, merger and acquisition space. So I ushered in an introduction, right? I nurtured that relationship. I made sure the two came together. There ended up being a pseudo merger to some extent where they work together symbiotically. Next thing you know, I think within the year, his revenue doubled.
Wow. And can you let our listeners know? Okay, we're talking about revenue. Let us know.
Yeah. So
what revenue is that?
Your gross, right? We want to gross, right? Net, EBITDA. That's a new one in the last few years. Like this stuff is potent information we don't know. So you have your gross, meaning I sold something for $20. So I have $20, but that's not profit.
No, right? No, but still you helped them get from point A to point B.
Correct. So here's the gross dollar amount. So let's say you are like the organization, I think at the time was generating like $25 million. It's a lot of money, right? Mm-hmm. So gross, that's your gross. That's the total dollar amount the IRS sees that has been generated as revenue. That's not necessarily what you take home.
Right. So we want to make sure
people need to know that distinction. It's like, yo, you got all, but you spent all of it. So what, what does that look like? With all that said, it went from 25 million to 63.5 million.
And that's with introductions.
That's with an introduction per the portfolio, the relationships we have in the ecosystem I've procured and created, right? That introduction, that was, and here's the thing, I want to add this. It wasn't just like, hey, so-and-so meets so-and-so, right? And see ya.
Right.
There's obviously the nurturing because humans are going to be humans. Stranger danger. I don't know you, bro, right? I will shake your hand, I will smile in your face, and then I'm out. There's no communication, there's no follow through or follow up.
Oh.
So, hey, did you talk to so-and-so? Hey, let me send an email. So there was time spent to nurture this relationship until it bared fruit. Once the epiphany happened, like, bing, wow, love these guys. I trust them. I like them. I know them. I want to work with them. Awesome. Now, here's where the dynamics of our console has to step up, because at that point, what should have been discussed, even up front, is the console. Here's the value of what I can bring you.
Right.
You don't have to pay me right now.
Right.
But if this bears fruit,
right,
this is what the agreement can look like.
And see, that is something that is not spoken about, right? So we don't speak about it because we don't know about it. We don't know that we are bringing value. And I think somehow the whole concept of value is overlooked.
Yes.
Everything that we bring to the table as an entrepreneur is value. If I introduce you to XY, that's value.
Yes.
And a lot of the times, entrepreneur, they don't know what they don't know, right?
Right.
So introductions have value because, like in that situation, it led to doubling the revenue of that.
Plus, yeah, double plus. Yeah, and mind you, I hold no ill.
No, of course not.
Right, and the reason why is because I still have value in being able to say that I helped cause that.
Correct.
Right, because and we're not taking away from the 99.9% of the hard work that has to be done by those two organizations in order to procure that time and a half double plus revenue growth. That was me.
Right.
But we're also not talking about, hey, give me half your money. That's not what we're talking about here, right? We're talking about, reasonable compensation based on the time and the value that you brought as even at the very least a thank you or to exchange that, because ultimately the time spent in doing that was time taken away from doing other things that could have made you money.
Right. And based on that now and where you're sitting right now, what are you looking towards the future for? What are you looking for?
I mean, that's great. And I mean, even as we, bring it to a head in the dynamics of the conversation, what the future holds is, we want to make a national impact. We want to make an international impact. That's where the Epic Foundation was looking to a global impact by way of what we see in the platform of education. We don't even want to talk about all the statistics around how the USA measures up to the rest of the globe, how different states are lacking in the education system. I heard recently, just a quick caveat, that a state literally lost, I won't name the state, but literally lost its certification to educate kids. Can you imagine?
What?
Yeah. State is no longer certified to educate kids.
Whoa.
And so they had to go through that process. So that just shows you the deficits that exist in this country. We want to talk about math. Okay. So with that said, there's a huge demand. And the beautiful part of being involved in the community the way we are, the way I am, is because you will never run out of clients.
Right.
You're always having kids, right? There are children. We seek that, the generational, the legacy. And we know we are very present that the kids are not the children of the future. Yes, but that's workforce also. Why are we sending our kids to school in the first place, other than the fact that I want my child to grow up and be successful and leave mommy and daddy's house, right? So with that said, that is the foundation of it all. But all the business, I can span everything educationally, schooling and all, back to everything that's going on in our society, and especially in these businesses, every single one of our businesses. You got to hire these kids one day. Okay. So with that said, that's where my expertise, because as a person who is the blend of an educator, entrepreneurial, philanthropist, I know better than most, right? I am perfectly suited to pioneer a movement around taking education back, right? Taking it back. School's not enough. It is not to be codependent on. We've got to take it back. But it's going to take services, right? It's going to take revenue. It's going to take great, large sums of capital in order to be able to truly impact what we all want impacted is what's happening with our babies every day. Like my child who's at school right now. Right now. Your children who are at school right now. Right. We're having this business conversation. Our kids are at school. So it's going to take a lot of capital. So in order for me to be able to facilitate that, I must pioneer a movement that's going to allow business to grow and factor in the contribution, the sustainability back to the community. That's what we're stepping into. I'm AJ Donaldson. I'm the expert for you to help you cause that to happen. You care about the community. If you care about longevity for your business, not just making money right now, this year, 10 years, or until you retire, where's the longevity? We can help your business grow and accelerate towards legacy.
Oh, love that. Love that. And where can they find you?
So many different ways. I'm in Jamaican, so there's a lot of different facets. So the two platforms that I would promote right now, the Epic Foundation, obviously, right? I'm wearing my shirt today because I have a meeting. Just like last night, I had a speaking engagement. The dynamics of Epic is Epic South Florida, right? That is the website for now. Even if you go there, it'll be forwarded eventually to Epic America, Epic International, all the things that we're doing. That 501c3, that tax exemption where your money is secure and safe, earmarked on behalf of the kids through scholarships, mentorship, and career pathways, that's Epic, right? My expertise and consult in the space of integrating education, integrating into business, and being able to even utilize the services of the Epic Foundation is United Mentors, right? United Mentors, LLC. You can go to our Instagram at United Mentors, spelled all the way out. Don't forget the S at the end. I'm an educator, so we got to spell things right. Epic South Florida, at Epic South Florida on Instagram, at United Mentors on Instagram, and so much more to come. Our goal is to unbound the minds, right? That's the key right now, right? We want to really unbound people's thinking, right? We want to help them to see the things they don't know. We will reveal it to them and help them make more informed decisions.
Love that. Love that. Thank you so much. This was an amazing conversation.
I appreciate the time. I appreciate the platform. This is super dope, super cool. I'm looking forward to it. We could talk all day.
Thanks again. Talk soon.
All right, sweetie.